I hope it's worth it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, wait, my meeting is being live streamed.
Got it. Cool.
You Zoom. Would be like fucking over Zoom. I just check if we're there. Let me just see. Well, I think we're live.
Okay.
Oh, wait, my meeting is being live streamed. Okay, so wait. I switch off this YouTube and I'm going to just see you. And whatever is happening on YouTube is probably happening on YouTube. I can't see it. Let me just on my phone see if we're there.
Will they be able to join the chat or we won't?
Yeah. Nice. Oh, Julie's here. Hi, Julie. Julie is here. Julie, can you hear us? She said, man, it was hard to find. Sorry.
Is it so? The chat is on YouTube.
The chat that I just have chat on my phone, because I can't see it.
Yeah, I can. Well, I guess you read the comment.
Yeah, I'm going to be checking. Julie says hi, so I think they can see us. I'm sorry we're late. Hi, everyone. I don't know if anybody else is here. Oh, Julie says she can hear us. There is a delay because we're joining through Zoom, so you know how it goes. Mm-hmm. But Julie, I'm glad you found us. And I think we just slowly going to start. So, Hi, Aminat. It's nice to meet you.
Nice. But I feel like we know each other already.
Exactly, because we kind of exchanged so many messages back and forth. Plus, we had a couple of minutes now to get acquainted. And also, I think we're on a similar kind of trajectory when it comes to divine feminine and maybe discovering the feminine aspects of our religions or our spiritual beliefs. You in Yoruba tradition, me in like Christianity. And I think when I read what you wrote and I listened to all your interviews, which I binged on, which you did, with Amber and all of this, I was like impressed because I thought, wow, it's so interesting that what you are saying about the Iyami, and is this the plural?
Yeah.
What do I say?
Yeah, it's that's technically right, but you can say some people say Iyamis, which annoys me, Yoruba people, because I don't think you should add English plural. The actual plural, if you want to be technical, is Awon Iyami.
Okay, Awon
Iyami, or you can just say Iyami as well. It's fine.
Iyami, okay, because I wasn't sure if it just says about one or maybe. So Awon Iyami would be the.
Technically, Iyami is one, but we say that in Nigeria anyways. We just use that as a umbrella. Yeah.
Simplicity of them. Yeah. What you said about them, that like a lot of people are kind of not maybe afraid, but I even put like some Google search, into YouTube, the Iyami, and all I was getting, I was just going, oh my God, that's so weird. It's so different from how you introduced them. And that's why I really wanted to talk to you, because I thought, wow, that's a bit similar to what you also hear about Virgin Mary and her having no sex with nobody and all this kind of like the feminism, like her femininity was like very neat and she's so
compartmentalized. Yeah,
and what they did with kind of like what you hear about the Iyami is like, oh, they witches, and you scary. And I thought that's what happened to feminine in general in all religions, really. And when I read this,
Asha, consistently, and I have to say before we start, I think we really have to get comfortable here. I think me and you really connect on the mental plane, because we have the same passion, because I didn't know there were people like you that were out there. You're working from the other end of your culture and you're seeing the same thing. Because when I started all this journey, being in spirituality or whatever, I notice patterns in nature. Like I've said in my other interview, I kind of interact with the physical world through observing symbols. It's something that I naturally do. I don't know if I was born that way or something that I trained myself to. So if I come to Poland right now, I'm going to notice the buildings, I'm going to notice the architecture, I'm going to notice, like, you know, if I see a deity that's repeating, I'll be that person to point it out to you. Like, do you see that face? Do you notice when we're into so and so? So when I got into spirituality, you know, all this, whatever you want to call, you know, the Reiki crystals and, you know, the Western, I started seeing patterns of the feminine kind of being, if she's not compartmentalized, you know, her personalities are just like, she's either really pure or she's either a really good mother or she's either the crone. And it, you know, that's, and they think they're doing the feminine a favor, but it's still the same political, and compartmentalization is the word that I can, you know, think of, you know, the foundation. And consistently, I will find that in any religion or spirituality that I will study, because I looked at everything, Buddhism, I looked at Hinduism, Sikhism, you know, everything you can think of, Jainism, you will see it. So when I came back in my culture, I was seeing the same thing about the feminine. So I said, there's something here that happened globally. And that just kind of like made me started thinking, like, is that what's wrong with the world and in general? So, and then and then after that, when I come up with the project and when I met you, I saw the same realization. I know you came across the same conclusion as well, that this compartmentalization of the feminine, putting her to the corner, kind of telling women to, and men as well, to avoid her. And if you look at her, you're called a feminist in a derogatory way. I know you've noticed that as well. And I think that's what fuels you as well.
Yeah, exactly. Or they make the feminine into, you know, that kind of, not bastardization, but like they make you a monster, or they make it like scary, witch, whatever.
Oh, you don't even know. I should have sent like something to you here at the British Museum. I'm going to find the screenshot. I was so pissed off. The British Museum, right? You know them. You've heard about them.
Yeah.
You know, the British Museum.
Yeah.
They had a showing of artifacts of around the world about the divine feminine. Do you know what they named the collection?
No.
The divine feminine, from the monstrous to, they said from the demonic.
Yes.
To the virgin. Why? Why?
Yeah.
Why? You don't see that with the masculine archetypes and Thor and stuff. You don't see them saying from the bloodthirsty murdering god
to quotation mark.
I sent it to one of my, you know, this lady I used to work with. Me and her were like, this is the brainwashing, you know. Yeah. So yeah, it's worldwide. It's really
exactly worldwide. And I was like just so glad when I, you know, I said to you that I got first, I think I saw the crown, the black Iyami, and then I saw also the Ajef, what is the maiden? Ajef
Funfun, yes.
Ajef Funfun. So I saw her, and because she had the owl, and I had a very like strong relationship to an owl, I was like mesmerized. And I think I saw it on Martin's IG, and then I went and I like, oh, what's this? This is like some amazing artwork. I was just really drawn to the artwork and to this archetype. And then when I was listening to your interviews, I was just thinking like, you fucking coming from the same angle, like just exploring this from, you know, your point of view, from your religion. And then I thought also, whenever I think I spoke to Queen Osset at some point, and also I know that in Yoruba tradition, you mostly have priests, men as well, right? You don't
99.9%.
Same in like, you know, Catholic. I know that there's different branches of Christianity, and the women are coming to like, but
they just started coming.
It's just so crazy, you know. We have this very famous Black Madonna in Poland, the Black Madonna of Częstochowa. So whenever I go there, it just looks so like weird, you know. there's all this like this amazing painting and people like praying to the Black Mother, and all these men in like dresses, obviously,
the
which is totally
feminine,
not from our culture, and no priestesses, which is to me just, you know, I don't like it. And I think it wasn't like this.
It doesn't feel right. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't feel right.
So I don't know when exactly, you know, this was, it probably took a long time when the solar myth like took over. And maybe it was the like how it was supposed to go. I don't know. Sometimes, you know, things go from one extreme to another extreme. And now it seems like a lot of people, like including yourself or myself, who are trying not only to like, you know, push for feminine, like we want fucking more equal war. Like, so we don't want another extreme to be brought up, but like, at least how I'm feeling, like I just want, you know, masculine and feminine both be strong, and
I just
both
want the feminine to start being demonized. And, you know, I just want people to stop saying, women, you guys are so emotional. You can't be leaders. I'm sorry, but who starts all the wars around the world?
Yeah.
Dumb stuff.
Yeah. But I really think
it just really, really annoys, because this affects us. We don't, I mean, I pay attention to everything. This affects us. If you work in the mundane world for other people, this, you know, discrimination against feminine, it affects you. It affects you on every level. I think we're just so used to the abuse. We don't say anything, you know, anymore. Like I was saying in my other interview, when I first, you know, when I came back into the Ifa tradition, and I will go, because I've been everywhere, almost everywhere in West Africa, at least 3 different countries, especially people in my, you know, community, when I would try to, you know, link up with this priest and really try to, because it's a relationship that you have to build with them. And it was just, you can't do this, you're a woman. You can't see that you're a woman. You can't do that, you're a woman. You can't do that. Why? Because you're a woman. You can't, I literally, that's what I was hearing. And I was questioning myself. You know, I've said this before, like, I was like, I don't think I'm supposed to be in this tradition. If I'm, what do women, I thought that the core foundation of my tradition is actually to just push women to the side. That's actually what I thought until I met Card 8, which is my godfather. And he was the one that just blew the whole thing out the water for me. Like, look, those people are just doing surface stuff. Back in the day, the foundation of this whole religion, spirituality, is the divine feminine. And that's what started it, because it was real for me. Because I'm like, why am I being told? And I wasn't gonna accept that. You can't touch that. You can't touch that. You're dirty. When you're on your menstrual cycle, you're dirty. They use the same language as Abrahamic tradition. They use the same.
Exactly the same. So it's interesting that you said, because, you know, I also believe that there are really wise and enlightened priests. There's not many of them, but they are. Like when you meet the true teacher who is actually connected to the religion, not only through, you know, books you read or whatever education you get, but actually practices what it says. Like you never feel like excluded because you're a woman or you're something. And then it's totally different conversation, because you feel seen, and it's totally like, doesn't matter in the end what gender you are, to be honest. Like, what the fuck, you know, when it comes to religions, in the end, we're spiritual beings. So the gender we have, of course, it's, in this case, we kind of fighting for our gender, because I believe priestesses should be there. Maybe in your tradition as well. Definitely, I believe that women for priests, there should be reinstalled in the church, you know. And when I think of like Mary Magdalene, even, who got totally like cut out, but a horror, like, you know, she's a whore from like the apostle of apostles.
And that's not even true. And it turns out that's not even true.
Exactly. But how long did we believe this? Centuries.
But churches still repeat that. They still have that archetype of her. And that's not even nowhere being true. From what my research was saying, that it's not.
Exactly.
It was 2 different Marys, you know.
Exactly, if not more even. But it's interesting with this, because this is the card that I pulled. So for everybody, I pulled this card for our chat with Aminat. So it speaks about the foundation and we can see the three Iyami mothers, three mothers, and I just love this card. I pulled it also during one of my Vipassana days. But what do you think? Because then I showed you what I pulled, like quite intense cards, because then I asked what message what would they want us to talk about? And I pulled first from the crone, because you said that she always comes first as like honorable elder. Then I pulled from the mother, and then I pulled from the maiden, and I pulled these three cards. So from the crone, I got this. From the mother, from the Ajahn Pupa, I got this.
Yep.
And then from Ajahn Funfun, I got Ajahn Pupa. So these three cards. And I was just wondering, like if you were to, I don't know if this is something that you feel like doing, but if you were to give us like what you think when you see these cards, like as a messages from them, or what they would like us to talk about, what would you say?
Well, I think it's a global message, because if you look at the first card was the foundation, and it's funny, that was the foundational card. The 33 was the one you pulled, right?
Yeah, that was the first, like just for our chat in general. So that would be like an umbrella. So they all hear.
Like an umbrella, right? So
Hello.
if you observe the foundation, if I'm to read everything together, if you look at the foundation card, it has the globe. The guidebook says those circles are like different terrains. They're like the different terrain, and they're supposed to symbolize the physical, the earth, basically. And if you see the three sisters, they are interlinked. The backstory behind why I designed 33 like that, or Soronga like that, when you try to research Iyami, even from the people who seem to be aware of them, that they're not so bad, there's still a sublayer of discrimination. What do I mean by that? They will still separate the three. They will say Ajahn Dudu, the Iya that's carrying the calabash with the black cloth, is the bad one. Don't go towards her. And then Ajahn Pupa, the red one, the mother, she's good. She's kind of moody, maybe don't go towards her as well. Her energy is kind of moody. Oh, the good one is Ajahn, Funfun. She's the one that if you want to talk about Iyami, go towards Ajahn Funfun, because she's about white magic. Like, what is that? So, and I'm like,
is it because she's white that she's so good?
It's just, it's just, again, it's that. Is what human beings do. They compartmentalize. And that's why many of us cannot, that's why many of us, there's such a thing with mental health now, because we don't like to merge all sides of our personalities. So obviously I didn't come to this realization when I started getting like the visions about them. And I would see when I would interact with, the images, they will come to me in threes. And I'm like, and I asked them, I said, because I interact with my dreams, I said, I thought they said you guys are separated. Because the way, again, when I finally penetrated, when I thought I did, they separated them. Kasha, they separated them like, the black one, the red one, the white one. The red one is kind of in between. She can be good or bad, but still maybe stay away from her, because the color red. She wants to kill you. I'm serious. The black one, don't go. No. That's she's
night, death.
She's the crown. I'm not. And then the white one is the one that is nice, and the mother. And when I did the interaction in my dreams, it wasn't true, because they came together. They would come, together. And when I remember maybe I asked them, I said, I thought they said you guys were like three different personalities, good, bad, medium, good, bad, neutral, blah, blah, blah. And they said, no, they are sisters. And they said they work together always, because working together is how this world is able to maintain its momentum. So that was the feeling I was trying to portray, because you often don't see them. Even with the people who know about Iyami, you won't see them associating all three together as one unit.
Yeah.
So if you pull that card, that's definitely telling you that you're on the right track. And it's even telling you that the way to do your work is for you to even link with other women, like purposely look for, or perhaps it's, going towards people who are aware of the divine feminine and working together. And then that card also speaks about initiation of a project. Initiation of
What's so interesting about just comparing this black, red and white, because I told you that in Slavic culture, that's very much the colors that we would use. But also when it comes to Mary, I'm a fan of Hettienne Grobler, and she has created those Mysteries of Mary tarot decks. I don't know if you've seen them or not, but this was her first deck, and she's creating all those altars and then photographing them and doing all this. So the first one she did was couple of years ago. It's like White Mary. Then couple of years, like maybe 2 years ago, she did the Black Madonna deck. So that was the Black Mary, and they all the different Black mothers. Some were whitened, but they all Black Madonnas from different cultures all over the world. I mean, maybe countries, cultures.
Okay.
And now she's doing Mary Magdalene, the red deck.
Wow.
So
I didn't know that about Mary.
Yeah, white, black, and now she's making Mary Magdalene deck, which is the red deck. So interesting that, even from...
Interesting.
Because I'm like you, I'm also looking through like very symbolic way on, on life and in general on religions or just anything, culture.
Yeah.
And I just thought like, wow, that's so interesting that this, it's this triplicity in somehow it's, returning and it's coming back.
Exactly. I shared. Yeah, exactly. And the archetypes, that's why I never knew that. I've always thought that the Black Madonna was just limited to Poland. I didn't know there were.
Oh, no. She's all over the place. She's all over. And a lot of her, it's in Belgium, which, when you even think of like colonizing countries, right? Which were like, so Belgium, Spain, of course, France, it's heaps of them. In Poland, we have couple actually, but the most famous is the Mother Mary of Częstochowa. So she's the one with and she, I think you pronounce it Erzuli from
Ganto. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's kind of also somehow connected. I don't know if, how that's, what was first, egg on chicken or what, but yeah, she's also there. So, I just thought like it's interesting.
That is really interesting. I'm going to check out her work.
Yeah. And that's Hettienne, she's also interesting because she does so much research and she puts so many twists, into the connecting the dots and also comparative religions and stuff. So what would you say about this one? Because this one seems very kind of, I don't know, powerful, but also what we not used to think about feminine, right? We don't fight.
But again, what we're not used to thinking about feminine is completely correct, because that deity is Oshun. That's another name for her. Yemeshe is another name for Oshun, which a lot of people I think know Orisha Oshun already. And again, that was another deity that was compartmentalized into being one way. She's the mother, she's pretty, she likes honey, and she's soft, and she just gives you anything that you want. Not true, because she has multiple personalities like we do. She has a fierce warrior side, and that was one of her sides when she dug deep into her warrior side to save her people. She literally sacrificed herself in a way. So the warriors, the invading warriors, can pseudo capture her. So she didn't reveal herself that she was this powerful woman, because she wanted to infiltrate them. So when the captors led her and her people into the woods, she then transformed into this fierce warrior, and she slayed all of them. And that at the end, they were lost. So she turned into water, and that's where her legend began, being associated with water. And she flowed, and she turned into water into a river, and her peoples were able to flow through on that water until they got to land, and they established a town, and that town is still there.
Wow.
To today. So that card speaks of, total defeat of an enemy, total defeat of a situation, but the opposition has underestimated you. They've assumed certain, things about you, that you're weak, you're this, and you're going to surprise them. It also speaks of, on another level, keeping your plans a secret until it's time for you to execute it. And it also speaks of sacrifice. The Hanged Man. It kind of reminds me of the Hanged Man card. Her story kind of reminds me of the Hanged Man card, because the Hanged Man is about sacrifice. It's about just
like
everything about yourself. Yeah, going in, because she literally made herself look like a homeless person. And then they captured her. They assumed she was blah, blah, blah. And then when the time was right, she transformed into what you see.
So that would be the message from, I mean, that's what Ajay Dudu would like us to talk about. So we kind of, I think, mentioned it a little bit when we spoke about how women are like fighting back or trying to find their voice again, specifically also when it comes to religions and religious leadership, because I think it's still really important. And I don't see it happening just yet that, there are changes or suddenly that there is a pope like a pope woman or something, but maybe this is going to shift if we also, I don't know, maybe all the religions will shift as well. Who knows where we're going right now, but it's, I think, interesting that also, I think that this aspect of the feminine, that we cannot just like separate them, like what you just mentioned.
And as I'm looking at those two cards, if you want to put it together, she's talking about using into intelligence as well. Like literally, because, Oshun is a war strategist. And if you look at the textbook, the definition of her on right now online, you don't see anything about war about her, but because that's strategic thinking that she was able to use. She used everything that people assumed made her weak. When you assume things about a person, you've already lost. I don't assume anything about anyone, even a child.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you don't know who that person is. So I think that those two cards, if you want to put it together, Ajadudu is saying strategic thinking and using intelligence. It's really, really important.
So Ajay Pupa, the mother, she said, I pulled like what she would like us to talk about, peacemaker. So it's like opposite, or what is this cut to you? Because
the peace, she is a revolutionary. Odua is a revolutionary as well. The way that she goes about bringing revolution is just different from the last card, from Iyami, because she is like the one, when she shows up, you ever met one of those people, when they show up, you just stop? They walk in a room, you just stop and you look, because there's something about this person and their presence just, you're like, okay, I don't know what's going on, but this person, I need to behave. So the story behind Odua, it's a very ancient deity as well. If anybody's listening that knows about Obatala, Obatala is another famous known Orisha that is, very archetypal, male. Again, if you go online, you see male, old man. He looks kind of like the archetypes of Saturn, Cronus, almost the same. If you look at Obatala, I found her story of her, that she's more ancient, and she was actually known to be the female aspect. She was so ancient, I found, they said that the people that really venerate her in the town that I did the research in, they say she came before metal tools. Humans started using metal tools. So you know how old that has to be. So the story goes that after creation, human beings just went crazy. They were just doing all kinds of stuff, killing each other. There was no peace. And in this particular town, especially, it was chaos. The town was on the verge of this destruction. One night, this woman that has albino, that has albinism, I should say, and finely colored straw hair, came out of the night. She just emerged literally out of the night, and she had on all white. She had a snail in her hand and a bell, and everybody just stopped because it was such a startling vision. Her archetype is one of the first telling of the people that have albinism, their introduction into West Africa, right?
Wow.
Because Obatala as well, the male deity that I said, is known to have the same skin condition. That's why till today, whenever a child or person has albinism in the traditional sense, they will say they are a child of Odua and Obatala. Anyway, so she emerged and they were like, wow, okay, this is a different, and her presence, and she just told them, and they stopped what they were doing because they were just going crazy. And then, and she just said very calmly, very peacefully, she said, I'm going to help you all, and I'm going to put everything in order, and there's going to be peace from now on. She literally proclaimed it, and bit by bit, she showed them how to resolve problems, how to put things in order. She's a very neat, Obatala and her, they're very neat, very tidy, very minimalistic. And that's what she showed them how to be. And her favorite icon is that of the snail. The snail juice in West Africa is a antidote for poison. It symbolizes in and of itself coolness. You know, if it's a situation that's really, really contentious, they will say, you know, put snail juice over the person's head. If a child has a fever, they use that. And that's what she is. That's what she's about. So she's a revolutionary in her own way, but she does it in a very, if you want to say in a very peaceful way. She just shows you how to put things in order. And her motto is simplicity is the best. Did
you say that this was serious in your book? And how is she connected to?
Because that's what I saw in my dreams.
That's so interesting.
With card 8 and her. And when I asked, again, I was lucky enough, I was like, do we know anything about Sirius in West Africa? When I asked one of my teachers, he said, yeah. Sirius is called the dog star, right? Yes. I forgot the Yoruba translation, but the West, they knew, they had an understanding of Sirius and the Sirius star, and the way they translated it has to do with the dog star. I forgot, but I have to check. Yeah, because it's dog star is the constellation. I think it's the Canis Major or something, which in Latin would be like the big dog. Or so Yoruba and ancestors actually had a perception, you know, of that. And again, when I came across this information, I doubted myself, because I'm like, no, what I've been taught in school is like, they don't know anything. West Africans, we didn't have these equipment. How do they know? Now, this goes back to Julie's work. When I came across her deck, you know, and then I saw the star, you know, the stone circles, and I'm like, stone circles in outside of Egypt. And then that's when my whole research, and I said, this is a real thing. What I saw is a real, because I would doubt a lot of the connections that I would see, because I'm like, no, that's not real. It can't be real, because I couldn't find scholarship, but I did find, you know. Yeah, it's so interesting, right? Because also that's quite a feminine in some way aspect, that kind of following the intuition, following the vision, working with dreams. And sometimes, like specifically, I think in the Western world, this is still such a like diminished way of accessing information. And very like if you do it though, you know that how often it works and how often you do get information that later on gets confirmed in some way or another. Yes, exactly. And sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes you have to wait years to get it confirmed, or, you know. Mm-hmm. So I think it's also very interesting. I was just wanting to add also that recently I had this conversation about Saturn, that when you said that she's like ancient than Saturn, that there is something that, you know, we know about the planets they called after like Greek gods, but what was before? And if you make Saturn feminine, and in tarot, Saturn is connected to the world god, Gaia, like the physical, you know, like he is. Astrologers that you will find that say Saturn was originally feminine, and I 100% with that. And also that would make
that would make like a nice, the moon, Venus and Saturn would be feminine, whereas Sun, Mars and Jupiter would be masculine. It's like this kind of balance.
Yeah, because you have to do your history. The Greeks masculinized everything. They masculinized everything. I heard Poseidon is supposed to be feminine.
Yeah. Also,
I heard, and it was, now we refer to Neptune and Poseidon, the sea as a male. But how does that make any sense when water is inherently feminine?
Yeah, it's very true. So how would Ajay Funfun, she chose Ajay Pupa. How would that work as a combo?
What did Odua, remind me of what she chose?
Odua was because I asked them what would they want us to talk about, right, from their perspective. So Ajay Pupa, she chose Odua, and
okay.
Ajay Funfun chose Ajay Pupa.
Interesting. So that actually fits, because if you go back to Ajay Pupa and Odua, looking at those two, basically what I was saying about, we need to just be okay with the polarities of our personality. We need to, because when you repress your passionate, or what people call angry side, that's what causes this disease. What Ajay Pupa, the mother, is saying is that your anger is justified. Our unhappiness about how things are is actually justified. We're supposed to have that. But how can you then channel that anger into passion that is going to make things grow? Because you see the red, she's alive, and she has that baby on one side, and she has leopard on the other, saying, I can go either way. I have my mother side, and I have, the aggressive warrior side. It depends on which one she wants to activate. So if I was to read it with Odua, she's just saying control is just essential. All the emotions that you feel, that we feel, is justified, and there's a place for them. There is no repression here, as long as you make sure that you are in control and try to keep things simple. Because whenever I see Odua, I'm overthinking.
Yeah, she feels very Libra, very I thought about her,
she's simplicity. Even when I was designing her, I was all over the place, and I was like, and then she just said, no, just keep it simple.
I just want to say that, that Jonathan said red was like blood of life. So that returning to the idea of menses being bad as well, and how we had this whole, it's a lot of this got unraveled, but it's still, you see that advertising on television. Oh, you're on a period, put in a tampon and you can do whatever you want anyway.
That's a really, really good point, actually, because that's what she represents as well. So, I don't know about you, but I was raised when you're on your menstrual cycle, you feel you're supposed to just go somewhere and just crawl up and just don't be seen. And you feel you're made to feel, dirty. I think Ajay Pupa is saying that's a state of power. It's a state of being, and don't be ashamed. And Odua, you see, she's dressed in all her white, and she's standing right next to her. She's not moving away from her, because Odua technically is post. Oh yeah, that's actually, thanks, Jonathan, because Odua technically is post menopausal, right? She is, because she's always her. When they saw her, she was like an older woman.
And also what you said about Saturn, sorry that I'm butting in, but you said about Saturn, he's also the time, right? And Julie said that she feels 100% Saturn is feminine as well. So
yeah, exactly, right? So those two cards together is a really, really good pull, because it's saying the polarities and dualities are there, but you know what? It's inside you, and it's fine, and both are fine. Being of that, vibration, my mother. Even if your femininity as well. Ajay Pupa also speaks about being comfortable in your femininity. Yeah, that's a really good point, Jonathan. Thanks. I can't see the comments.
Because she is really feminine. She's very sensual. She is very kind of embodied, right? She's
that's what I'm saying.
She's hot.
She is. She when he did the design and he came up with that, the artist came up with that face. When I saw her face, I was like, that's the face. That's her face.
So cool.
Because
Very
we
cool.
did several sketches of her and I didn't like it. I'm like, no, I don't like it. And as soon as I was like, that's her, that's her.
See, I got drawn to her as well because I did at some point, like years ago, like a little intro into shamanic journeys, and we were connecting to animals as well, and I connected to the owl, and the owl actually came up with me from the underworld and it was sitting on my shoulders, and I remember telling it to the teacher, and she's like, oh, that's really like auspicious sign, because that's when the animal actually comes out. That's that's the kind of like you're really connected. So when I saw her, I was just going, oh, that's interesting with the owl.
Interesting. The owl symbolism is fascinating because it was my godfather, thank God, card 8. That really, again, I mean, he was such an amazing man. That's why I honor him every time, because he's such an amazing person. He made me look at everything in a different way, because I was so inquisitive that's my real life godfather that I met in 2011 to 2011. And I'll be like, I'm so inquisitive again, because I look at the world through symbols. And I'll be like, I just ask him the most random questions. I know he probably thought, this girl, I don't know where they got her from, but I know he used to shake his head, because I just call him like, why are people so afraid of the owl? And that's how the conversation started. Because one day, I don't know how it came, and I'm just like, the owl, why is such negative whatever about the owl? He was like, because they lack an understanding. He said, if you study the owl, it doesn't really attack unless you attack her or his
offspring, or like the
offspring.
nest.
I don't know what they call nest.
Yeah.
And it was like the owl also feeds on like the smallest insects in nature. Because if you go on YouTube, they make it seem as if owls are like, they make it seem as if they're predators, right? I don't know if you study them, but they make it seem as if they're so like intimidating and they're gonna do something to you. And old school, my godfather was like, the owls look intimidating, but it's the look.
Yeah, because they're quite big birds and they have those weird eyes, and their head turns around.
Yeah, and the reason why they're staring at you, he said, is because owls can see in the dark also. And he said human beings are very, very, they feel uneasy when people, that's like an ability to see right through them.
Yes, and exactly.
Owls can turn their head way farther than us or any other humans, because they can almost go 360. They can almost go, or maybe is it 180? They can actually turn their head all the way here, and then they can turn it all the way, so they can see everything.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Like, human beings are a lot like that.
And I think, in many cultures, owls are seen also, they connected with death, because I think it comes down to the being afraid of the darkness, being afraid of the night. Maybe it comes from our, instinct, because humans, maybe when we didn't have fire, or who knows, where it comes from, how deep it goes. They're messengers, they're just messengers. They probably brought messages that somebody was going to die, but it doesn't mean they're causing the death. That's the thing, that it's a messenger is a messenger. If you get bad news from an email, you're not going to fault Yahoo for killing the person. You know what I mean? It's like when we dissect the assumptions that we have, those birds, the birds are messengers of nature. They're literally carrying the message of what's to come. They're not causing the misfortune. Yeah, of course. And this is like with a lot of things, right? With tarot cards. Tarot cards are not causing the misfortune. That's because you predict it. Like, it's not caused by tarot, or it's not caused by really external circumstances. Most of the times, it's probably our choices. That's what I truly believe, that we 100% create our own reality, in the sense that how we respond, and even how we perceive, how we are conditioned to perceive many things, and how we learn to uncondition ourselves to see things as they are, and not as we, taught to them to be. Saturn is masculine, or, whatever. How often we hear the stories even about butter is unhealthy. 5 years later, only butter is healthy. Scientists confirm. 3 years later, I don't know, half butter is very healthy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just like meat is healthy, meat is
I
unhealthy.
remember back in the 90s, I remember
Right? Margarine.
yes, butter, eat butter. Oh my God.
I know,
No,
it's
you're right.
crazy.
That story you told about the owl is fascinating though. That's really, really
Yeah, it was very weird because I think I was the only person from the group who had something like this, and I never heard about this before. I didn't even
I
know
never
that
heard. I don't think they do that often.
that like when you go down, and I met this owl and she came out, and I remember now, I still know the name I gave her, and she's still like, whenever I go into any connection, I always ask for her to be there. It's just part of like, just became part of me. But she came out on my shoulder, exactly like when I saw her. I was like, oh, that's
Wow.
so interesting.
That is so, because, if you look at the symbolism of that, you were in a cave, right?
I was somewhere like down under the tree or somewhere, like
And
I went
yeah,
down
you
the
guys,
tree, I think, but I was like, yeah, I don't know exactly if it was the
you guys were
cave or if it was
looking,
just underworld.
were you guys exploring?
Yeah, we were exploring, and it was this one when you like go and meet your like spirit ally, like ally animal.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And that's what the owl represents in the context of the deck, is that she is the one that helps Ajay Funfun to investigate. Because that card, she's the one that will help me find the information. Okay, when I wake up, I'm like, okay, I need to design so-and-so. Where am I supposed to look? She's the one that will come with the owl and we say, look here, with that owl's eyes. And then I was like, but I've looked there before. They would say, look again. And then I would look again and I'll find exactly what I'm looking for, because that's what she does. She's the one that lights the way, because you were under like a sort of like subterranean. The owl comes and sits on your shoulder. She was basically guiding you to something. There was some kind of shift of consciousness that happened. Because in Africa, when that happens with an animal, any kind of interaction with an animal like that, so close to you, without you inviting it, there's that level of the power of the animal that has been transmuted into yourself. It's a form of initiation.
I think so, because I don't know, I can't now remember, it was before all this. I was living in Australia and I was doing this course there. I remember that the teacher was like blowing something like was it like the spirit of the owl? He was blowing it into my heart after I said that this owl came out with me.
Yeah, because she knew exactly what I just said. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a form of initiation, and that becomes, if you look at the Native American culture, they really believed in the animal totem. So they used to have what's called spirit quest. And I hope I don't get this wrong, because they do this in Africa as well.
They do it in our culture as well. In Slavic culture, we work with.
Yeah, you would go into the woods for like maybe 14 days, maybe 30 days, and you just left there by yourself. And whatever animals really continuously will come to you, that becomes your spirit animal. And in West Africa, to be specific, priests like that or priestesses like that then say, when they want to astral travel and explore the earth or just look for information, they will then kind of use that totem animal. They will call that totem animal down, and then that totem animal will go and explore and come back and give them information.
Yeah, Julie says it's Vision Quest, and Jonathan says that he's got a strong connection with owls as well, and that many cultures have owls and spiritual messengers. That's true. In Slavic culture, sometimes they were connected with death as well. They were connected to wisdom, depending like where when you look into it. I always think in every culture, people were connecting with animals and nature as a conversational kind of dialogue. When people were still closer to earth and land, when they lived closer and were kind of influenced by one another in much stronger way that we are now, living mostly in cities. Jonathan says also, about coffee, that coffee is bad for you, but it's good for you. Never mind, occasionally it's good for you. Exactly. Like we were talking about
that. Every week is good for you. Yeah, they always give us, So with Ajay Funfun, I would say she is pure intelligence. Because
Yeah.
she said she came with Ajajapupa, right?
Yeah, she came with Ajapupa.
Again, is that intelligent? Is that inquisitive? Okay, she's saying, be inquisitive.
Could be also like what I was just looking at, like intelligence of the body, just this knowing, it doesn't have to be
what they say.
What they say, or is in this culture, is that like, sometimes you just know, and this intelligence of the
Agreed.
body.
Agreed.
And how
be
like this
inquisitive and be inquisitive. And I just feel the owl is such a misaligned, like my godfather was saying, because he loved the symbolism. He was like, a lot of people just misunderstand the owl because they just attribute, because the way he or she looks and stern, because owl does look really stern, and people assume, and he's like, they're one of the most gentlest birds until you mess with them, and then we're gonna have problems. But that's with everybody else. You're not gonna let somebody break in your house and take your cards. You're gonna beat them over the head with a frying pan. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's about intelligence. It's about being different is okay, and walking into a situation and understanding that sometimes people may not get you at first, but it's okay, because you see what they don't see, and that's
sometimes it takes time for the catching up. Also, we received $10 from Aquagem. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
She says thank you for this wisdom. So I'm sure it's directed towards you, because we mostly drawing on your wisdom about Yoruba culture. Thank you, Aquagem, so much. Thanks, you. We appreciate it. And I wanted to show you one of my favorite cards.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites as well.
Really? Oh my God, I didn't know. Like, this is, I don't know. And I saw this card, I was just going, this is so cool. I love how this, so many levels of interpretation, but like just that words are so powerful, how you create with words, that it's like one of, I think, Mary, what's her name? Doesn't matter. I can't remember now. Angela Mary. She says that like everything is a spell. When you say things, that's like putting spell out. So how important it is to watch and be aware of how we say things, what we say. We often stop like blabbing, guilty as charged. Like sometimes you just like say things, but everything has meaning. Everything is creating, and if you already vocalized it, it's even more than just a thought, right? Like it's already stronger, already more powerful. But can you say about her carvings, like, is this like her scars, like what is it, this initiation as well?
Not necessarily. Sometimes it can have to do with initiation. It's quite a complex subject matter when it goes into initiation. I won't tell you that because it's super complex and I'll just confuse people. You're right. Sometimes in certain initiations, when a child's life has to be saved, when a child is identified as that they're going to prematurely die. Because back in the day, the ancestors used to be able to do the divination, and they can tell that this child is not going to live long. She's going to go, he or she's going to go back. So sometimes they would do, the ethnic marks on the face, but outside of that, that's a very small, thing, very small scenario. But outside of that, even now, West Africa, they developed this system to differentiate what part of the ethnic group they are in. Because, even though it's a Yoruba umbrella ethnic group, they're sub-ethnic groups, like depending on the state you come from. So back in the day, so to differentiate that and to identify themselves. And it was also a form of beautification as well. Scarification. It's kind of like tattoos in a way.
It's like tattoo. Yeah, exactly.
Sort of like the same. So that's what they would do. And so if I come across you and you came across me, if mine was like, was it, or is this horizontal? I always get confused.
No, that's vertical. That's vertical.
Vertical. Yeah.
That's horizontal.
Vertical. And yours was horizontal. I'm like, oh, so you're from so-and-so, and you're from so-and-so's family, and your father is so-and-so. Like,
you would recognize. It reminds me of New Zealand tattoos, when they would know where they come from.
So that's where it's from. So it's kind of like to identify themselves, and a form of beautification as well. Because I really wanted that card to be authentically Yoruba. I wanted, when the people looked at it, that's like, oh, this is West Africa. oh, this is Oyo. So that particular scar, thanks for bringing this up. That's a really good, you notice. Yeah, that's why I say you pay attention to details. I was thinking of a woman in Oyo. Oyo is the place, the main city where my father actually comes from. So for some reason, when I was designing this card, because the people in that area have helped me a lot as well with my research, and I uncovered a lot about my father's ancestry when I found them. So I said, I want this card to be a woman from Oyo, and that's the scar, the tattoo or the scarification pattern of a person from that area of Africa, of that area of Nigeria, I should say. So for Yoruba persons,
I'm sorry, like, do you think a lot of people would still recognize it? Like,
yeah,
black people?
100%.
Yeah?
My mentor in Oyo, that's the same thing he has. It's the same pattern. If they're authentically, if they're like traditional Yoruba, they would like, oh yeah, that's an Oyo woman, blah blah blah. Yeah,
that's cool. So this
and oh yeah, thank you. Oh yeah, so thanks for this, Kasha. And the number of the lines denotes the royal family. If I could show you the picture of the last king that just passed away, he has the same of that area. So the number of that lines, the pattern that I chose, denotes that she comes from a royal lineage as well.
Interesting. So the numbers could be different. Is it could there be more than 4 as well, or is it?
There could be more than 4. They could be very fine as well, and they could be 1. They could be 2. They could be 3. Yeah. The numbers could be different. They could be like crossed, vertical and horizontal.
Yeah. Also like this artist who did the dotted style, that also reminds me of, Aboriginal art from Australia. So beautiful. I love this. Whenever I see this card, I'm like, I want to take a deeper breath.
Yeah, because, that card, remember you would explain it to someone when you were doing the review, you were talking about Ashe, and you did such a good job in explaining. That's why we say Ashe. So Ashe is a word that you can't really, it's almost impossible to say one word. This is what it means in English, but in a nutshell, it means I am pushing what I just said, what you just said, that's going to happen to me. When I say Ashe, that vibration, I'm going to push it into being, in manifestation. Ashe is power. It is when you say something out of your mouth, because the ancestors believe that creation starts with the word. Just like you just said, Angela, the lady you just said, is the same thing that West Africans believe, exactly what she just said. Everything you're saying, but the West Africans took it a step further to say, you're saying it to your own head, to your own ori. So be careful, because if you say that to someone, your own creator is listening as well, and you may very well be self-hexing yourself, hexing yourself.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so when we say something very positive or a prayer, we say Ashe at the end to push that prayer into manifestation. And the ancestors also believe that a lot of that power of creation, like Angela said, 80% of it is in the mouth.
Yeah. And also now I've been to this Vipassana, and it's the same kind of principle that, like, sometimes if you commit an action, but you have the right intention, even though the action looks like, I don't know, you killed someone, but killing and killing can be different based on the intentionality of the mind. But also there is this distinction between when you think a thought, like, I don't like Aminat, but when you say it, it's stronger. It's already kind of like manifested in some way. So it confirms what you say about like Yoruba tradition, saying that you can hex yourself in some way because you already have spoken it. It's not necessary. You never know how the energy will, will go.
So when all the law of attraction genre came in the 1990s, I'm like, oh, we already did this. Remember when law of attraction came out? We do that. Yeah. It's, West African, let me tell you a funny thing, a funny habit West Africans will do. It is so ingrained in us not to self-hex. If you're talking to, let's say you're a Yoruba person, and I'm talking and I'm like, I better make sure that I don't drive too fast tomorrow when I'm coming to Poland to meet you because my enemy doesn't want to get into a car accident. I won't say, yeah, so far we go. I
so
won't
it's
say,
like I think in India they do it too. It's like you can't say it about yourself because that's what you would kind of in some way would manifest potentially.
Exactly.
In India, apparently the guru, like some of the, I don't know if everywhere in India, but like at Vipassana, again, somebody said this story that like there was this Hindu monk who came to one of the teachers because he had money, and he said, "You have temple in India." And this guy goes, "No, I don't have a temple in India. You have a temple in India." And he was trying to say that I have a temple in India, but they don't use "I have a temple in India" because that's very ego kind of. So they
that's
change it. Like,
yeah, because we don't, if you can meet like the most westernized Yoruba person, they will not like even something as simple as sick. They were like, "Oh, my enemy is sick." It's a weird pattern. And it's so weird because we know as a Yoruba person, the flow of the conversation. A person will be like, "What? Okay, that just confused me." But understand, like, especially when it comes to not having money, even me, I have that. I never say, if I say, "Oh my God, Kasha, I can't come to see you tomorrow because I have a lot of money right now and the train fare is just too expensive." That sounds crazy. That doesn't it? But if you're a Yoruba person, you got to understand, instead of me saying I don't have, I'm saying I have so much money right now, so I can't come to see you because the train fare is £100.
Wow. But this is something really, that's interesting. I think that's really kind of cool because in some way reinforcing it, and that also reinforces that idea about, that
I have a lot of money,
everything is a spell. Words are spells, as Angie said. And
it's so ingrained in the culture. But it's funny, the pattern. So when Law of Attraction came out, I'm like, we do this already. What are they talking about? Everybody was
apparently, I don't know if it's true. I haven't researched myself, but apparently in Hawaii, in like the ancient Hawaiian language, there was no negatives. I'm not sure how, like that you couldn't say like no, like it was very, I mean, you could probably say no, but it was very affirmative language per se. Like it wasn't, I don't have, like it was very kind of flow affirmative.
It's the same.
Wow, that's really cool.
To be, I think that is so beautiful. That's why I did card. Is it card 19? The sunrise.
Sunrise.
Which card is 19? Isn't it?
But you mean this invocation or?
No, invocation. The other card, the one with the sunrise.
The one with like rising.
The risings. Thank you.
Let me tell you. I have the deck. I think it's, or maybe it will be faster if I check in the book, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, show the book. Because
the rising. Oh, what is it called in your language, in Yoruba?
Which one?
No, the one you're saying.
The Ojumo Ire. Ojumo Ire.
Ojumo Ire.
Should be, maybe it's 22.
Yes, it is 22.
Thank you. Yeah, it was 22. Now I can see the comments. Oh my God, it's a lot of comments.
This one. Yeah, I love this card too.
That's why I did that, for the people who are familiar with the law of attraction, so you can see we're literally doing the same thing. Because I thought that was such, again, it's my interaction with the traditionalists, these elders in the rural areas who were like, they don't even speak English. So when they were like, and they like getting up early in the morning, and I'm not a morning person, Kasha. I don't do 5 a.m. in the morning. Don't even talk to me because I'm not even trying. But they like getting up early in the morning, and sometimes they will call me, my elders, and they'll be like, I'll be like 6 a.m. in the morning. And they will, so to say good morning for us is Ojumo Ire. So that's the first thing they're going to say to you when you wake up, to say, may this sunrise bring you blessings. I thought that was just awesome. I'm like, wow. Law of attraction.
Yeah, that's the card that I pulled from
my favorite.
My review.
That one, I just love them.
But I also love like in the sunrise, but like also in this one, like the perspective is so cool that whatever the artist did, it's just so like different, as if he was lying on the earth, and
that's the whole point. Yeah,
having a chilled morning. It's
And
really
the outcomes, talking about perspective, talking about, again, looking at things, because the owl is about sight. You know, just look at this thing that you're looking at, but shift your perception. I'm a very fixed person, and that has been detrimental a lot to some of the things that I've wanted to do, because my perspective can be so very fixed, and I'm working on that for the past 3 years. There's some things, okay, I'll give you an example. We have a situation here where the postal system crashed. So we couldn't send international parcels for like a whole month. And I panicked because there's a lady, Debbie, I don't know if she's listening. She ordered, the deck, and I'm like, and I was for like a week, I didn't know how to send it. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to refund her because I don't want her to think I'm a flake or whatever. And I emailed her. And the whole time the freaking solution was right at the tip of all I had to do was go ask the post office people, what are other people doing? The first thing she said was, well, they're printing the labels online. I'm like, I can't do it. I don't have a printer. And again, that perspective, I'm already boxed it in. The printer was right there in the shop. All I had to do was just ask the guy, can I just pay? And that's what I ended up doing after 2 weeks. And I'm like, how come I didn't figure this out at the beginning?
Yeah, I know. Sometimes it's like right in front of your eyes. It's crazy like
really
this.
It's a really bad habit I have. You won't believe some of the solutions I've come up with. And I'm like, wow, I've had this problem for 4 years. All I needed to do was just shift my perspective, and the solution was right there.
That reminds me of like Taurus Scorpio axis somehow. I don't know why, but like, because Taurus can tend to be so like stubborn in some way, but Scorpio also like to do things the hard fucking way. Or like, they can just like go, oh, comfortable, easy, maybe that's good, no?
That kind of comfortable. So, that kind, yeah. So I understand that part.
I have a question now from the perspective of not being Yoruba, because I, of course, listened to some of your interviews, specifically the one with Martin, and I think it was great. And the one that you did with Amber was great too, with Lavender Moon. But Martin was worried, right? That like, oh, he's a white dude. Like, what is he going to be doing with these cats? Also, I asked one of my friends if maybe, when you said like that you had this extra copy, maybe she would like, and she's like, oh, but it's not from my culture. So I'm like, the question is here that I want to pose, that maybe you can repeat yourself, but like, this can be used by anybody who wants to find out more about Yoruba, right? Like, who wants 100%. To learn.
That was the whole point. When I my grandfather my grandfather wasn't technically in the tradition. He was a very, 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 very smart man. He was a Sufi. I don't know if anybody knows about Sufi Islam. It's like exactly what you're doing in Christianity. Sufism is the spiritual side of Islam. They're not rigid.
Mystical side. Yeah.
Thank you. My grandfather was a proper mystic. I'm talking about, he had like a telescope in the 1930s, 1940s that we still have in the family.
Yeah.
Only person in this area, only person who explored the Bible. He studied Hinduism. That's how I got exposed to all these spiritual stuff, because I grew up like that. My mother did astrology. My mother had so much astrology books. I remember that they were more than her clothes. Like it was like to the ceiling, and this is what I grew up with. So I've always been around Western, quote unquote, spirituality. Obviously, it was natural for me to go into the tarot community, crystals. I started going deep. Reiki, I love all that stuff, studying Hinduism, studying Buddhism. My favorite class in high school was world religions and symbolism. I just loved all that. So that world helped to balance me a lot, because I overthink and my mind is always running, and so much things was going on, the way you see things, just being a different person. I've always defaulted to that world of crystals and all that. So it truly helped to develop me to where I am. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to go back into my own tradition to see, what is there? And when I went into my own tradition, I started seeing links, archetypes. You explained it, like, and Angela, what's her last name?
Angela Mary, yeah.
Yeah, is she a deck creator?
She is a deck creator, yeah. She created this. Bear with me.
Let me look at the comments because I'm not looking at you guys.
Because I love her. She's not on YouTube so much anymore, but she's created Moon Baby Magic Tarot. Just really funky little deck. What she did, she has this booklet. She chose a song for each card, and each card has a keyword with this normal position and reversed position. And each card has a little song, like, and a moon phase. So if you put the deck in order, like, and you go like this, it shows like all the moon phases. Like, it's really cool.
Yeah, and she's an American.
Yeah, she's an American. Yeah.
So Angela's an American, completely. I'm assuming probably isn't from West Africa. Probably doesn't.
Very blonde and very white.
Right. So what she said is literally what the ancient ancestors in West Africa have said. That creation is in the mouth. Watch what you say.
Yeah.
Because you really have to be self.
She uses like that, like everything is a spell. She said,
that's literally why we say that shit. I just explained it. I just gave it to you how Yoruba people will go out of their way when talking to not say anything negative onto them. Because if I say something negative, it's gonna come on to me. So when I went back into and I'm seeing links, I studied all this. I was around when Law of Attraction, Oprah was my favorite channel to watch when I was in the States, Maya Angelou, all those, Eckhart Tolle. I even went as far as to study J. Krishnamurti. I don't know if you've ever heard of J. Krishnamurti.
I love him.
He's the guy. He's actually the guy that Eckhart Tolle learned from. But anyways, I'm going to put that aside. So I know all this stuff. So when I went in my tradition, I was seeing literally the same thing, the same themes, the same ideas. So I said, there's something here. So if the Western people are saying this and Africans that don't have anything to do with them, the ancient teachers are saying that means there's a foundation here. And when I studied deeper, I ran into Julie's work, and that's why I found the divine feminine is what really connects us all. So I was like, what if I created a deck that shows the divine feminine from a West African perspective and is deeply researched factual information so that people can see on the other side that they are actually studying the same thing. So it can be for people. I mean, I didn't really create the deck to show off or to say, if you want to come into your Yoruba culture, this is a good deck for you. No, that's not what it's for. I created it for people who are spiritualists, like yourself, from other cultures, so you can see those themes, so you can see those archetypes, so you can see that West Africa has the same. And I made it, and I really, really worked hard on that guidebook. I didn't want the guidebook to be like, no disrespect to anyone, to be something small and whatever. No, I wanted you to see. I really invested a lot in that guidebook. So
I actually really love this guidebook.
I really, really did. I really did. So a lay person can actually see the value and understand, because I don't want to confuse with so many esoteric terms. And that's one of the reasons where, if you notice the quotes, I use a lot of quotes from a range of authors. Yes. So you can see how their quote from Rumi's from Iran, right? Was from Iran.
Yeah, Persia.
Like a Persian mystic, what he says matches what the Yoruba ancestors say. What Albert Einstein says matches, Dante's Inferno. So that was the whole point of me creating it for somebody like Claire, right? Yeah, for somebody like Claire, doesn't know anything about the tradition, and you are supposed to. Don't pay attention to the people who are saying that. That doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah, that's so interesting, because also I was wondering, like, if you can maybe share some ideas of, how people who like us who don't practice Yoruba can use that deck. Would you just pull it like a card a day, or would you do spreads? Because I'm a mixer, so I always like go, if I pull one of the Iyami mothers, I'm like always, what do you want me to say? And I always pull cards from another deck as a,
I always do that as well.
explanation or going deeper to understand what the message is, or, but when I was pulling cards a day, like one a day, it was also great because the booklet is actually very kind of on the practical level. So if you want to go deeper, you can, but it's a lot of the, divinatory kind of meanings. It's very day-to-day type of stuff. Because I've heard with Queen Osset, actually, we can also mention that you're having these meetups with Queen Osset once a month, I think, right? You already had 3 or 4, and you guys go deep because Queen Osset, obviously, it's from the tradition herself as well, and she practices. So that's a different type of conversation. If anybody's interested, you can guys go to Oya's Girl YouTube channel. And I was wondering, with I lost my thought of train of thought.
Oh, you were saying is the deck, what is the best practice for a person who don't know anything about?
Exactly. And also I just wanted to throw in, are you planning on expanding the book for them, like more stories or more about because you were mentioning something like this in the chat.
Yeah, I need to, but there's so much downloads that are coming. I need to really, again, streamline because I'm so like, because what I discovered after connecting with all of you guys in the Tarot community is like people actually like card spreads. People actually wanted to be able to pronounce the words correctly, which I think if you try, it's fine, but people are very much invested in doing things the right way. So I created an extra PDF of a pronunciation aid. And I also added more keywords and also reversals. I realized that people really like reversals. So I went back and I revamped, and there's reversals now. Do you have the PDF? You should have it.
I don't actually. You have to send it to me. I don't.
But oh my God.
Do you use reversals personally?
Yes. Should I send it to you now so you can see it?
Yes.
I don't believe I didn't do that. Excuse me, guys. It's going to take 2.
Excuse me, guys.
I believe I didn't send it to you because I'm like.
I just check what's there. Jonathan says that Ashe is very similar in meaning to aloha, breath of life. Oh, that's interesting too. There's so many similarities between the cultures. I think that's why I also love when you go and do interviews, because you're one of those people who wants to see similarities rather than this division. Like it's so much division. Yes, we are so different and whatever, but we are so actually in core, so similar. When we go back far enough, we all did the same bloody thing, and nature is nature for everybody, and we have the same body and we have the same breath and we have organs that do the same things. And I think it's so important to find things that unite us.
If we want to do the work of the divine feminine, there cannot be separation. One of the people that I admire the most, if you guys want to study like a researcher and an anthropologist who has really, really unearthed all this divine feminine, Max Dashu, you know her, right?
Yeah, I know her. She's amazing.
I love Max. Max is another one of my unofficial mentors that I've been talking to for about 10 years. She was saying,
oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. Max knows about my work, but Max has known about me for like 10 years on Facebook.
Wonderful.
That's something very, very profound. She said, the feminine brings things together. Is patriarchy that separates. And I was like, damn, that's true. That's compartmentalization is what happens when in this structure that we're under. But when it comes to the feminine, she brings everything together. So you cannot have separation if you're doing this work like you're doing, studying the divine feminine from your culture. You can't say, I'm only going to concentrate on Poland. I'm going to write a book and it's going to be in Polish because I don't want
that's the only Black mother that's important in no.
So I think that is like really, really important. So back to what we were saying, I was going to create. And then when I got feedback from all of the influencers, I realized, wow, people are really invested in pronunciation and they wanted more information. They wanted card spread. Because I'm like, these people are professionals. They don't need card spread, but they seem so. I created a PDF. I sent it to you. Check it out. I don't believe I didn't send it to you. I'm so, I thought I did. And then, so simple card spread. So what I plan on, if everything goes, it's not if, I am going to do it. I'm eventually going to integrate that information you see.
Ashe.
Love you. So I'm going to integrate that information you see in that PDF for the second print run. And then when I get all the information, all my stuff together, I wanted to create a bigger book that will show you, that will tell all the stories. You know how I just embellished with the stories about Odua, how I just went in depth.
Yes.
How she was introduced and all this. I want to tell all of that on each card. And then also, hopefully, if I can find all my sketches, because I lost my phone that contained, some of the sketches, as much sketches and the developments of each, because me and the artist, when we're working, they'll send me. Yeah, I wanted to include that in that book and just really, really go in and elaborate. That's what because
all the old traditions were the oral traditions, and I think the stories are important because they give you this kind of context that you sometimes don't even know that you're getting something, but a month later you're like, oh, the story kind of stays with you. It's really interesting. I just want to share that. Go.
And then to say how, because you asked the first question before that one, how a person, because that's a really good question and it comes up, like, how would I use this? I'm not of the culture. I the tradition, I don't know anything about the tradition. Just think about this work being a study of archetypes. So everybody's comfortable with archetypes. And I want everybody to be, to take a note out of Kasha's book. She doesn't have any fear. I can tell that already. And I was really impressed when she was doing the review. She just went for the pronunciation. Nobody's going to just judge you because you pronounce something wrong. It's not your language. Who cares? But I think because we live in this pseudo perfectionistic society, and it's pseudo perfectionistic. It's the psychotic thinking that you can be perfect. It's really not, it doesn't even make any sense. It's actually an illusion. And whoever came up with that is just trying to mess with our minds, because you cannot be perfect. It's not, and it's good. There's beauty in imperfection. So you have that mindset where you just go for something and you just try. I'm telling you guys, that's what's going to help you to gain the most out of life. So just go for it and just look at the picture. I tell my friend all the time, Holly, I'm like, just look at the picture. Trust yourself. What do you see? What do you feel?
Because the images are so beautiful, and they usually, sometimes maybe they be like, not so much to go for, right? But most of them are really have a lot of layers. There's foreground, background. You can read any other image just via the image. And then if you want to go deeper, you go for the stories. If you want to go deeper, you go for the, the stories of Yoruba. If you want to, there's this card. If you want to go deeper, you can go, like I pulled this card during my Vipassana first day, and I told Aminat, I'm like, that was so spot on, because this is how I was feeling, but this obviously was my face outside and what I was kind of
so weird that you say that, because I just took a course in massage therapy, and it's about detoxification, and I pulled that card when I was going for this course, because I wasn't sure if I should go to this lady, because this lady wasn't gonna give me a certificate. So I was deciding, is this gonna be worth it? And I pulled the self, and I was like, and then it just clicked, that stands for detoxification as well.
Exactly. And that for me was spiritual detoxification, for you, the detoxification of the body. But exactly, you can go
just trust
very
yourself.
Intuitively.
I'm going to tell you guys a quick story. So you see this card. Where's the turtle? See, I lost it again. Okay. The turtle is there. I didn't notice this.
Where is the turtle?
Exactly. That's what I said. You see it now.
On the drum, kind of. Yeah.
When I designed this card, this is Agalu. This is the mother of sound. She's the deity of sound. She's the deity that gave birth to the first drum maker in West Africa. My friend, this is my friend when he was little. That's his mom. Yeah. So he showed me a picture of his drum, and I sent it to the artist, and we just did the drum. I didn't notice this turtle. I got an email the other day from Amanda. I don't know if she's on here. Amanda, if you're on here, thanks. From on Clubhouse. She was like, Aminat, I keep pulling this card, and because I'm very on hand, everybody knows I'm always online, and you can ask me anything that you want. And I was like, I keep noticing the turtle. And when I looked, I'm like, turtle, because I know the card. So I didn't even go and look at the card. I'm like, what do you mean turtle? Did I put a turtle in there? I was like, because I know it's multi-layered And I'm like, I don't notice. She was like, yeah, the turtle on the drum. And I pulled the card. I was like, oh my God, this is on the drum.
That's
She was
so
like,
funny.
what do you think this card is trying to tell me? So I sent her like 3 paragraphs on this turtle, on why
Oh,
she's
wow.
pulling this turtle, what the turtle represents. I was like, if you look at the archetype, if you look at the symbolism of what the turtle represents, I gave the information to her, what the surface, the world says, and what they say in West Africa, because it's another symbol of Iyami in and of itself. And it's a symbol of wisdom. It's a symbol of doing the work that needs to be done, but at your own pace. It's a symbol of creativity, because my godfather said, and that email that she sent made me remember what my godfather said about the turtle, because I literally asked him everything that I can think of, thank God, right? The turtle carries his home on her back, her back. So you're always going to be okay. It's a symbol of self-sufficiency. I didn't have this in mind when I designed this card.
How interesting. Also, whenever I think of the turtle, it's like, like the home on the very practical level, like home, and you're kind of, you carry the home with you, really.
That's it. Self-sufficiency. Yeah. Just being, you're going to be okay.
Yeah. Interesting.
It could be the card that signifies a loner as well. Not that way. And we're having this, and this lady, she literally just peaked. She literally just activated a part of my brain. And she was like, the turtle, I keep pulling this card, she says, for 3 days in a row. And I'm trying to understand what it says. And I was going into details like, well, she's the mother of sound, maybe use your voice. And I said, turtle, what turtle? And I looked, and then the whole thing changed.
So the new layer opened up. So that's really interesting. Yeah.
Because she noticed this. So take a look at it. Like Kasha just said, whatever draws your attention, and then trust yourself.
Yeah. One of my friends said that the colors are really she's drawn to the colors of the deck. Colors could be also another layer to add to your interpretation.
It is, because archetypes deals with colors. You just said to me, and I was blown away when you said, when you were doing the thingy, I left a comment on the review when you said the red, white, and black are the same color scheme that is used for the divine feminine in Europe. Mind blown. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that at all.
And this was the first card that I pulled as a guide into the deck. So before I even looked through the cards, I pulled one card as a guide, and this one came up. And this reminds me, you said in one of the interviews, that this is you, and this is the astral kind of traveling, and it's all blue. And then Julie Kuchia Watts, Julie's here, and Julie's deck, this journey into Egypt, she has a lot of those blue figures also, because she also got a lot of her information from her
astral realm. So communication. So
exactly.
So if we go back to ABC, like we say in nursing, if we go back to the basics, blue is a color of communication, right? So even if you pull that card, if that's all you got, that's all, go with it.
You can always go with the throat chakra as well, but I just wanted to say that this was my card from the alchemy deck, Wild Unknown Alchemy deck, and it's like the Azure Vault, the Blue Temple. It speaks about that astral kind of communication. They look a bit like aliens and so on. But I pulled this card for the first 3 months of the year, so from January, from the winter solstice till spring equinox, right? So when I pulled this card, I already started thinking about this one. They were then Julie's deck arrived, and then there's a lot of this astral travels in there. I was just going how interesting that this is card from the alchemical point of view for first 3 months of the quarter of the year, right? So that was just so interesting. And she is this is Oshun. No, is this Oshun?
Yeah, you're on it. One of the ancient symbols for Oshun, again, because she has so many different faces, she does manifest as the crone, but it's a very, very ancient manifestation. It's kind of like, how when the archetype of Mary Magdalene was hidden, the truth, and it just came out maybe 20 years ago with the Gnostic Gospels and people, and the lady that wrote the book, The Two Marys, that really broke it apart. Or maybe people knew, but to the consciousness of the Western, whatever, they didn't know that, because I thought I was in they said it's not true. It's the same thing that a lot of people don't know, that Oshun doubles as the vulture as well, but it's a very, very old symbol for her. Very, very old. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love the vulture as well. The meaning, I love the hand in this, like you can, and the clock that you put it at 3 a.m. And you write in the booklet that this is like kind of the hour of the Iyami.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
3 a.m. That's also interesting, because in spirituality, like in Hinduism, if you research, there's a lot of teachers, they teach like you get up to meditate at 3 a.m. That 3 a.m. is this time when I don't know if this is where the spirit is mostly open to receive.
It's happening because that's really interesting, because they told me in Oyo when I met the elders in the town my father is from, that when they want to do deep appeasement to Iyami, if something is really, really going wrong where you approach them, that's the time they do it, between 3 and 3:30, and you have to do it in that window.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe that's yeah, it's like the 3. It's very goddess, not 3. Empress, 3, the black, white, the black, red, white, right? It's the
3.
interesting that it's
exactly.
3 a.m. Very interesting. I think we are going slowly to maybe wrap it up, just so we.
You saw the PDF, right? Check out the PDF. What do you think about because I don't believe I didn't send you that. I'm like, because it helps so much, because you can do reversals. You know how to do reversals. And then to answer your other question, I mix it. I mixed my card pulls. Yeah. To answer your other question.
Yeah.
I used to use, that's the card spread that.
Oh, wait, I have to
mix my card pulls. I would do tarot, and then I would pull one card of the Iyami. So you can do it however way. You've been doing that.
I've been doing it because I just do it, with everything. I'm just going to put it out there. If there is any questions from anybody in the chat, we have a little bit of delay. So if there is any questions, maybe guys put it into the chat now. Do I have anything else?
Julie says she knows Max. Yeah, Julie, she's so nice too.
Julie knows everybody.
I didn't even know she knew Max. Max's work. Oh my God. You guys got to check her out. Her work is breathtaking. The level of scholarship. Wow.
I put her name into the chat if people. Just for people to know.
If you're like a researcher for the divine feminine, like if you have the mindset to really get to the root of this, if you have a research mind like me, Akasha, you would appreciate Max.
Yeah. Max, and she has a lot of webinars.
She shows you the proof. She's not telling you.
Yeah. She just goes through
the picture.
All the artifacts and all these different cultures.
Incredible.
Yeah. And great, already library of stuff she's done for her whole life. Like it's so much of it. It's amazing. Yeah. Okay. Jonathan would love a big book, and he had a beautiful reading with you during the chat. It was magical.
Yeah, we did. That was fun.
Okay. So I think, Aminat, do you want to close with anything? Should we pull one card just for people in the chat? Because thank you for being here. Aminat, this is my first live since I don't know how long.
Really?
So I don't know if we did that great on the frequency, but I'm sure the quality of people who watched was amazing.
I think it's great. I don't like planned things. I like going off the cuff, like the British would say.
Me neither. I never plan my videos. I never plan. I mean, I planned you, and I have an interview with Julie Kuchia Watts next week on 20th. So if you guys want to join, please do. We are going to be talking. I wanted to talk about the journey into Egypt with Julie. If she's still here, we are going to be talking about this, but mostly we are going to be talking about astrology, because Julie just made me rethink things, and I want to ask her questions. So
the master at the sidereal astrology.
Oops! One fell out, and
one fell from
Mama Ajepupa. She loves us. I think she loves us. Oh,
it's hilarious.
That's so
We're
funny.
doing the work.
We're doing the work.
We're
Yeah.
doing the work.
We're
We are
bringing the
doing,
shit up.
seriously. And she's happy. I feel like I'm drawn to her smile.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like she's like, yeah, that's what I want you guys to do. Integrate the shadow stuff. Bring up, we were talking about Max. And Max does a lot of the archaeology. Yeah, bring up all that stuff because it needs to be brought up to the surface of the consciousness. It's great.
Definitely. And I love that she came up because out of three of them, usually the mother is my kind of least favorite I would go for, just because I'm not a mother, I have no children. Somehow I'm not connecting with the archetype of the mother itself so much, even though I know that it's on so many levels. And of course, there is ways I love that to do mothering, right? But I love that she's actually, like, when you look at her, you wouldn't go, the first thing you would say is like, it's not the mother, like it's the mature kind of feminine,
Yeah,
tune and comfortable with her body.
that's
and
it.
She can be fierce love, and she can be fun, and she can be
Soft.
vicious. She wants to.
She's fine with it.
Yeah, so it's really interesting that she comes up like so many times today. Know if it's you, or if it's me, or if it's us together.
What does the guidebook say about the mother?
It says here that so the symbolism, it says motherhood is a magical and sacred time for women, as the mother's attention shifts to the child and less on the self. Ajepupa represents consolidation of power. She is both a warrior and a mother. So it's interesting that we had also that Oshun aspect when she's a warrior. She's the master of the spiritual realm, red birds, and physical. And interesting, the Shakespeare's quote you gave. I just love those quotes you chose, by the way.
Thanks.
I love the quotes in the Gaudi books. You said, how, like Shakespeare said, how with this rage shall beauty hold a plea?
Yeah. How with this rage? Because a lot of, we've been taught as women to hold our aggressive side because it's not feminine. It's not ladylike.
Yeah. Yeah.
That causes the disease. You just have to be comfortable with that and know that passion, even if it goes into anger, it is for femininity too. It is.
Yeah.
It's fine. And it's okay. Yeah. Some of so with the PDF, right? I did a pronunciation aid, and then I have extra keywords. So I've put as an extra keyword. So if you pull that card today and then you just wanted to look at some keywords and see what moves you, I've put fire, force, control, justice. That's it. I knew there was something I was missing. Control, justice, power, creativity. Because creativity is
very mother. Yeah.
Mars I've put, and boldness.
Yeah, and here the message also
motherly, like you were saying, I don't really connect to, you could go, you can go in a different way. You don't have to, say, because it's mother, I'm not a mother, I don't connect to it. It could be like fire, force, control, justice.
Look at the animal also, right? She can be like fierce protectress. She could be one you ask, shit, help me now. In some way, like there's this like find power within you. It's very much power. This like.
She has power.
And you wrote something beautiful. You wrote here also, employ self-control, be gentle in the situation, but hold a decisive weapon in reserve.
So that's the symbolism of the baby, Kasha. That's why the baby's there. Because
this baby, which you can barely see also, that baby is a bit like a turtle. When you said it first time, I'm thinking, what baby? But yeah. So for anybody, this is the baby.
It's true. I don't know why he raised his hair. Oh my God. That's why I thought you said you didn't connect because she had a baby on her back. And I was like,
she doesn't look like a mother, but she's got a baby.
Oh my God, you're funny. But yeah, that's why that just made me laugh so hard.
Become comfortable with your femininity. It's the one as well.
Yeah. So it's either like that polarity. She has baby on one side, mother on one side, and then she has a warrior leopard on the other. It's fine. Just merge both. And she can represent force, control, justice, creativity. She stands mostly for justice,
Yeah, and in the book, I think you do make a point of it because you say she is justice. Yeah, in this like
Exactly.
yeah. And the leopard, it's the animal. It's beautiful. There is just something.
He did a really good job. The artist is out of this world. His
Oh
talent is
man. You know
insane.
what? I have to before we finish because I said goodbye and then we switched like another tangent. So Julie says that she's looking forward to our conversation. Me too, Julie, so much. And Mel, thank you for both for beautiful conversation. But just to finish, I want to say that like even though there is 3 artists in here, usually I'm not a fan of collaborative deck because the artwork sometimes it's so different. I get like this jarring energy from, you know, like I'm used to one cut and then I get another one and it's like a totally different kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Like somehow you managed in this deck, even though I think the 2 guys with the dots and with this, they go like seamlessly together. So the one which is by Julius, I think it's a little bit different, but still
different.
It's not so many cards of it, so it doesn't like really like put me out.
I can't take credit for that. I literally think that was Spirit that did that because I can't tell you. I literally can't sit here and say, yes, I had everything planned and it was, but no. I had one artist in mind to do everything, just like you said, because I don't like disjointed things and things happen. He had other things to do in the middle of, you know how artists are. He had to do something and I had to find someone else.
Yeah.
And as I'll go look for someone else, the person would just fall right into my lap and it would just be seamless. Got the second person. I'm like, okay, I'm going to only go with 2 artists. And then something happened with him as well. He had other commitments. I had to finish, found Julius. I mean, it was, that's what I'm saying with the Divine Feminine with card 33, to go back to that card that you pulled, because they're waiting for you to initiate, to make that step. They want you to take that leap of faith because literally everything that you need, they're going to provide, but you cannot see the finish line. You're going to have to just trust faith, and you're going to have to trust her that she's going to catch you. When you jump, she's literally going, all 3 of them are going to catch you because they are there. And that's why I designed that at the end, because this is literally the end card that I
love
designed. And when I saw how everything came together, I was like, wow, I didn't plan on having 3 artists, but they fit.
Yeah,
they like,
true. That's
really,
it's amazing how they go together. It's really gorgeous. So I do have a review of this deck. So if you by any chance haven't seen it yet, you can take a look at all the cards. Aminat is, as she mentioned, very responsive and present online. So you can ask her questions if there is anything. I don't think we have any questions. Just thank you for lovely conversation. No jarring energy in this deck. The artwork really flows into each other perfectly, exactly.
But Projected Refined Life says she had the giggles. I know. She just cracked me up with that.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that is funny. No,
so I'm just so kind of happy that we got to meet each other in person finally. I feel like, I don't know, I just like I've known you. You know, you meet those people online and sometimes you just feel like you click.
We're doing the same work.
Yeah, it's very, very like when I saw this oracle and what you did, I'm like, oh my God, this is exactly, you know, like Black, like Mysteries of Mary, Mysteries of Black Madonna, Mysteries of Mary Magdalene now, like it's black, red, white, similar stuff. So thank you so much, Aminat. It was lovely to have you as a guest. I hope, guys, you enjoyed it. Next time, maybe I will try to, maybe we catch up again. Who knows? You know, we can talk about stuff.
Yeah.
And maybe next time I will make it easier for you because Julie said it was hard to find. Maybe it showed up in live and not on my channel. I'm not sure how YouTube does it now, but I will try to make it more available to people. And I hope whoever rewatches after now, because I know in America it's probably like middle of the day, so probably people are at work. Just enjoy it, and if you have questions, leave them in the comment, and maybe Aminat and myself, if we can get to them, we can answer them in the comment. So
yes,
thank you, see you soon, and thank you, Aminat. I will just stop this Zoom, get out of YouTube. How do I do it? Stop YouTube live.